Hello and welcome everyone to Their Story with Paul Butler. This is my podcast where I talk to people who have been successful. They're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're leaders in the community, people who have been successful, but it always hasn't been easy getting to that success, and they'll tell you about it. And the gentleman we have on today is Mr. Mandel Copeland, or should say the Mandel Copeland, of the Copeland family here in Salisbury, Maryland. Just a great guy, does so much in the community, is the eyes and ears of our community, if you want to say that. But it's just been amazing. And we're going to hear a little bit from him on his journey and what his passions are and what drives him to serve others in the community. So, sir, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mr. Butler, I'm honored. And again, thank you so much for sharing your platform.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. And listen, I'm going to tell you the folks at home too. Mandel and I go back way back. Because if you all don't know my story, I started in radio.
That's right.
Back in 1980 at WJDY.
81, sir.
And Mandel's dad, Reverend George Copeland, had a Sunday morning show.
That's right.
And I used to operate the board
That's right.
every Sunday morning when he would come in there, and it was just some great times. So it's hard to believe we've been doing it for 44 years, I guess.
Yeah, we gonna age ourselves, but it's okay. Hey, I ain't even upset about it.
But you don't even look like it though. I look like it. You don't even look like it.
Hey, Mr. Butler, you look wonderful, man. And again, I think about those times, and sometimes you just don't understand. Like when you meet a person for the first time, you just don't know what life does. And we had no idea that even in that season, we didn't know that 40 some years later, we'd be right back in this area, being able to share great stories with one another. And honestly, it just speaks volumes of the handiwork of God. I like to say sometimes, we just never know what his full plan for our lives is. And, we had no idea 1980, 2024.
That's exactly right. Now, listen, let's talk a little bit about, because people see the microphone in front of you. And for those who don't know, this gentleman and his family have owned a radio station in Salisbury, Maryland for how many years now?
We're celebrating 37 years.
37 years for WDIH.
That's right.
And just a mainstay in the community, a gospel radio station, but also, like I mentioned before, they are also the ears and eyes of the community, especially on the west side, but throughout all of Salisbury. And we really appreciate what they've done over the years. So, Mandel, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Mr. Butler, I'm a young gentleman, man, that's really sold out. Number one, to God, but also sold out to our community, to make sure that I feel as though my purpose is to make sure that over the period of time, being able to serve and to make sure we are okay. And so a little bit of my story was everything, a lot of people see now, but 40 years ago, we were that family that life threw us curveballs, the struggle, the things that I say all the time, that we all are one decision from being the persons that we feel like we're better than, whatever. There was a season in the time we didn't always have, and we was in a season of lack, and we was in a season of where the next meal is going to come from.
Right.
We was in a season, we was the family of how is life going to make sense for us. That's this person. And it's all about saying to yourself, God, if you ever give me a chance, if you ever change my current situation, I'll always remember the next family. It's like passing it on. Yeah. And so when you see Mandel, that's that guy. The guy is that person who has a heart really for our community. And I honestly, it's no hype. It's just a raw reality, Mr. Butler. So again, we moved here in about 74, maybe 75, 76, somewhere in that ballpark. Again, I'm aging myself, guys. I'm sorry. but we moved here about 1975, 76, and we've been on here on the shore, and with my dad pastoring, and between pastoring, music, and singing, and that whole have built a culture for our family. Have built I'll say, for a better word, a culture. And so growing up ministry, growing up in having understanding, do unto others as you should have them do unto you. That the mentality of, whatever God is giving you, it's not for you, but it's for you to pass it on. And so again, that's a little bit about me without, if there's some direct things you want to know, but that's just just kind of roundabout of when you see Mandel, that's the guy. Yeah.
Right. Hey, they may not know that you are also big in the music industry. I mean, your family, especially. But talk a little bit about music, how you got started in that.
Oh, man, we've always been kind of around music. My pops was quartet, had a group called Reverend George Copeland and Singing Disciples out of Washington, D.C. So I hope I don't offend any quartet lovers who watch this podcast, but I have a hate-love relationship for quartet music, if that makes sense. But we kind of grew up around quartet music, and of course, that kind of spread it into other areas. And then my love for music, I think I really started developing about 9 years old. And from the age of 9, I started playing for our church, and I kind of developed my skills. There's a 10-year age difference between myself and Josh. And so over a period of time of working, music, Josh, and then my nephew, Jeremiah, and then my son, Madison, and then the list goes on and on and on. And so, but what people don't really know, here's a secret weapon also, my sisters also sing a little bit. And it's a whole family that we're blessed and honored to be around the music. And we've watched the journey of what has happened over the period of time. And again, I like to think that that's been a focus of being able to pass it on. It's each generation teach the next generation, and then the next generation just picks it up. And I think that's kind of, we've been able to be the template, be what it looks like, be the example of, that's the pass on. That's the dad taught the son taught the brothers taught the nieces and nephews, and it just so.
Yeah, you certainly have a family that is just amazing when it comes to music. We talked about your brother Josh. We talked about your son Madison Copeland. And just really amazing. So tell the people what you do right now. What are some of the things you do right now? I mean, I know about not only the church, but also, and talk about the church too, but also 50K souls, and the fact that, especially since the pandemic, I don't know of a church in Salisbury that's given away more food than your church.
Mr. Butler, again, just humbling to be able to serve 50K souls. 2015, we started this outreach in 2015. Of course, once we began knocking on doors, touching lives, honestly, when God birthed that, when He said to me, He gave me instructions on what I was supposed to do, because it was a 5-day prayer, early morning prayer, that God dropped this 50K souls. I had no idea in 2020 what was coming.
Right.
I just knew in 2020, I know 2015, He was like, what I need you to do is grab a group of churches, build a network of churches. What we have to do is larger than what we do on the inside of our church. We got to get outside of the four walls. We got to come together, and we have to provide a sense of resource by sharing the gospel of good news. And while you're sharing the gospel of good news, feed somebody. But I didn't know that 2020 of March, everybody, we all was going to be faced with something that was going to change our lives. However, 50K souls, we were at the right place at the right time, because we were already passing out food, we was already serving our communities, we were already knocking on doors, we were already touching folk. that the opportunity presented itself, that through Maryland Food Bank, we were able to partner with so many oh man, just the network alone, Mr. Butler, is amazing. But we're able to come together, bring all our resources together, and we were able to serve our community as one body, one team. And we've been doing it, we do it every Friday. Every Friday we come together and we're serving hundreds of families, man. And we're honored to just to be in that position to help. We also have partners that now we're able to help. One of our newest partners is Lead for Life. You understand that program. So it has grown that now we have young men and young women that society have quote unquote said, now they're coming together and they're helping provide and they're serving people. They're giving back. Mr. Butler, that's what it's really all about.
Yeah.
The pass on.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. That's, for me, I enjoy what we do on Sundays. I do. I enjoy the music. I enjoy the hand claps and the excitement. But for me, that's ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're touching lives and you're watching people's lives be changed right in front of you.
So let's talk about 50K Souls, because there may be people watching that don't know what that is. How can people learn more about it? And if you real shortly can tell us what it's about.
Okay, 50K Souls is a network of churches where we come together each week to do outreach in our community. When we started in 2015, the whole vision was we wanted to reach 50,000 individuals between 2015 and 2018. That's in a 3-year span. We were like, we can reach at least 50,000 people, meaning do something nice, do something kind to a person every day. Speak into their lives, do something. But buy a cup of coffee, stand in line for somebody in Walmart. You see a lady struggling with her groceries. Keep that. Let me handle that bill for you. Just be kind and use that moment to be a witness.
Right.
So that was the beginning of 50K Souls, network of churches. We all came together. And then, like I said, by the time 2020 got here, it kind of spilled into a whole, we're in different states now. We're able to serve other states through the power of social media. So now, if you want to be a part, it's easy, hashtag 50K Souls or 50ksouls.com, and you can connect and you can partner with what God is doing through the outreach.
Okay. Very good. So this podcast is about your story.
Wow.
And where did you get the inspiration to do what you do today? I mean, and I look at, yes, I mean, God is the main one, but also, is there a person or persons that inspired you to be the way you are?
Wow. Again, Mr. Butler, I honestly have to say, over the period of time, for me, it has just been, granted, musically, the wine are one of the things, but in my social life, it has just been, I'll give you a funny, quick story. One of the most funniest things that happened to me, man, I started coaching Little League football.
Mm-hmm.
And I started coaching in a tough time in my life. I thought I was helping youngsters. Had no idea that those youngsters was really helping me.
Mm.
Because I was in such a low place, Mr. Butler. Like, I had already given up. I had given up because life wasn't making sense for me. And the reason it wasn't making sense, I was too busy looking about me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I had to look beyond me. You got to get past you. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not going too far.
No, you're good.
I think it's important. Any person who's watching this, if you're struggling on trying to figure it out, you'll know because it's bigger than you. Sometime in life, our focus is too much on the me syndrome. You got to look beyond yourself. There's a greater you when you start thinking about other people. I had to learn that lesson, and guess who really taught me that lesson? There was some 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids that taught me that lesson over a 4-year period of me spending time at Salvation Army coaching Little League football. Mm-hmm. To reach beyond you, because I had a team that wasn't considered winners. They gave me a team of young guys who they decided that I don't know, but in a 4-year period, man, I took a bunch of little kids with a couple of great coaches, man, and created winners who won like 4 championships back to back. Now we started off 0-8 now, but over a 4-year period, they started winning championships. But I learned that's when things started changing for my life, because I started focusing on something greater than just looking at me. Those kids, believe it or not, Mr. Butler, was my inspiration. That's the core of what you see through 50K Souls and a whole lot of other things. Those young kids each day looking me in my face. Although we're losing every game, those kids showed up to every practice.
You know, what you said is something that I see in a lot of successful people. I do a lot of personal development. I talk about this all the time. I read a lot of books, listen to a lot of audio tapes, that type of thing, just to improve myself. And, you know, one of the things that they all talk about is stop focusing on you, you know, focus on somebody else, focus on helping somebody else. And they're saying, if you help enough people, then you're going to find the help you need. You're going to find the success you need. And I think what you've said there is exactly, you know, what I'm talking about. You know, the fact that those kids were able to help you through a tough time because you put your focus on them. And they showed you that, Mandel, you are the man. You are special. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, I know you work at the radio station. Let's talk a little bit about that, WDIH. Do you have a daily show on the station?
I do a Saturday morning show called The People Show.
Okay.
And again, I'll tell you, I got tons of stories, but I'll tell you a funny story. Because of my schedule as new pastor and really trying to, you know, fall into the system, I fell off a couple of Saturdays from doing the Saturday morning show. Mr. Butler, just a couple of days ago, a gentleman pulled me over. I thought it was something wrong. He said, do you have a minute? I said, sure. And I'm like, what is he getting ready to say? He said, listen, the community is missing the People Show. Yep. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on, but I need you to find time to get back on that radio, because we need to hear the People Show on Saturday morning. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So, Mr. Butler, you just don't know. Like that changed my life, because sometimes when you're doing work and you're busy, every now and then you don't even know the impact.
Right.
And sometimes you get discouraged. It's not a wrong or right thing. It's just a thing. Sometimes you can be doing something, and sometimes you kind of feel like you're losing your ground, and sometimes it makes you fall off. And so that gentleman pulling me over, I didn't know why he pulled. He was like, I just want to talk to you. I'm like, what is he getting ready to say? He said, I just want to tell you, Saturday mornings, we're missing the People Show. I was like, whoa. I said, okay, say no more. We're going to get back on. So each Saturday morning from 10 to 12 noon, we do a radio show along with my co-host, Mike D, a.k.a. 1000, called the People Show. And it's really the show for the people. They get to request music, get to have conversation, we get to laugh a little bit, have provoking thought, but it's just creating a family experience. And that was birthed during the pandemic, when it was the most crucial time, when at that time, man, we were in fear. From one moment to the next, you know, life was different. Everybody was isolated, and we needed moments to kind of let some of that pressure off. Well, WDIH and the People Show was able to create that platform to kind of create that. So we do that every Saturday morning, man, the People Show.
And I want you to remember that, look, all it takes is one. All it takes is one person for you to influence. That's why you know, no matter what you're doing, you might think that, man, what am I doing? Is it working? Am I having an impact? Look, if you have an impact on one person, that's what God wants you to do.
Yes, sir.
You know? Wow. Man. So you got your Saturday show, you're pastoring the church. I can't, and I was mentioning to you before this interview, I said,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know how you find a minute to do this for me because you're so busy. Um, so what inspires you every single day to get up and go to work?
Um, what inspires me, man, is um, I have three young men in my life,
Hmm.
and then I have five grands.
Mm,
It's something about family.
yeah.
It's something about being able to build something to pass on. Something about there's no greater feeling than be able to build something that you can pass on and give to somebody else.
Hmm.
And that's really what I believe. Again, it's about the pass on.
Hmm.
Uh, I just celebrated 3 years of pastoring, and so the inspiration for me now, what drives me, is the members. I'm pastoring members that are 81 years old.
Hmm.
They've watched my faults, my failures, my mistakes, and today they love me enough to call me pastor. That inspires me to get up every day and be the best man I can be today because I know there's people that are counting on me. That inspires me every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm gonna throw this in kind of like a little joke. Um, you also have a gentleman named Pastor George Copeland is probably watching you.
Hey, hey, listen, he's on the right side of me, and some days he's on the left side of me. Some days he's in front of me, and so the check is always there, and it's humble to understand the check, the
What? So
checkmate.
what advice does he give you? Does he give you any? I'm sure he gives you some because my dad always gave me advice. What advice does he give you?
Hey, Mr. Butler, it's funny you say that. So I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, man. I'm I'm in school right now, and I'm taking lessons every day. But sometimes, uh, Mr. Butler, I think I'm in Mr. Miyagi's class. It ain't the traditional classroom setting. It's wax on,
Right.
wax off, paint the fence. Uh, my classes, they're a little different classes,
Right,
but
right.
but I grab it. And I
Yeah,
grab and if anybody who saw that movie Karate Kid, you're
yeah.
probably rolling right now. You're probably in a stitch that's beyond. But yeah, so again, but the upbringing. But here's the beauty. I've been traveling with that guy since I was 9 years old.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
you got on a serious note now. Every day from the age of 9 years old till to this present moment, for almost every day, there's some type of eye contact or some type of
Hmm.
movement, and I've been
Hmm.
fortunate to
Hmm.
watch. I watch highs, but I
Hmm.
also experienced the lows.
Yeah.
And what has impressed me the most has been in low seasons. It's
Hmm.
always figured out how to get it to make sense, and I think that's the beauty of we all can celebrate those high moments, but
Hmm.
the glue and the strength in
Hmm.
those low valley. I don't want to sound like a preacher now, but it's in
Oh,
the
that's right.
valley. It's in the valley that you really find real strength, and so
Yeah.
it's in those moments to have him there to be able to help us navigate.
So let's talk about that a little bit because everybody goes through the lows. Everybody goes through the lows. I mean, that's part of life.
Sir,
How do you get through the lows? What do you lean on? What are some of the things that you might do to help somebody watching get through their lows?
well, one of my suggestions is you have to develop a level of God relationship. That's first and foremost. But then you need to. It's family. I think one of the greatest things you could ever do is have family. Somebody who you have a moment, they allow you to have your moment. Like
Hmm.
you need someone that will allow you to be Mandel, and then they're not judgmental in that Mandel moment. Find somebody that will give you your space to be able to pull whatever your heart is, whatever you're feeling. And here it is. I may get in trouble for this, but here's the truth. Whatever you're feeling, you're right for feeling what you're feeling. Uh, you have to get it out. Then after we get it out, we got to compartmentalize it. We got to put it in. But I think how do you handle your lows is it's family, man. You need a support team. You need to get with somebody that will support you in those moments in time. Never feel like you're by yourself. Because believe it or not, Mr. Butler, we all have those moments. So don't feel like, oh, I'm the only person. No, ma'am. No, sir. Trust me. If somebody has experienced what you're experiencing.
That's exactly right. And one of the things I also find out with successful people like yourself, and I think we've already talked about it a little bit, is that they've all had good mentors.
Wow.
And I think you probably, you talked about your dad. I remember, this is a story I remember. I mean, I remember when I was a 18-year-old kid walking into WJDY studios on a Sunday morning and Reverend Copeland's coming in. I'm like, man, I was like on pins and needles, man. I said, I make sure I make sure I do this, commercials right, make sure I play the right music, all that kind of stuff, man.
And that's when they had the big knobs. You want to make sure all the knobs
Yeah. And so I had to make sure the microphone was good and, the calls came in okay. But so would you say your dad was your mentor?
Yeah, Pops was definitely mentor. Man, again, and then he wasn't selfish with the company. There were various preachers that would come to town. I was the guy. I was the kid at the time. I was fortunate to be able to sit at tables with a lot of the great preachers. We grew up in the air. You were seen and not heard. So you sat there, and you sometimes would sit for hours, but you better not have nothing to say. you must know about that, huh?
Yeah.
If they let you at the dining room table, just sit there
and be quiet.
and sometimes that conversation would be hours. But in the midst of, I was able to soak.
Yeah.
I was able. Those were soaking moments. And sometimes if you sit with me for a whole day, when you leave, you'll be like, man, he's an old soul. But I've been fortunate to be around some great individuals that have poured into my life.
That's one of the things that I think that you've been amazing at is being able to sit there and listen and take in all that knowledge.
Yes, sir.
And, one of the things that I pride myself on is I'll go into a room, in a meeting room, with others, and people expect me, because I was on TV or whatever, to be the life of the party or speak out. I'm like, I like to sit back and listen so I can learn what's going on. And then if I have something to offer, then I'll go ahead and offer it. But I think it's important that we also realize that we don't have to be the central figure,
Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler, that's the message right there. I do most of the talking Sunday mornings. During the week, I'm sponging because I feel as though if I'm the loudest person in the room, then I'm not learning.
Yeah.
I feel as though if I have more to say, then I've taken away from an opportunity that I could have to learn from great people, great individuals.
I tell people all the time, I said, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room, man.
You're in the wrong room.
Wrong room.
Wrong room. All right. So as we're about to wrap this up, and I appreciate you giving me your time, but we got a few more minutes. What would you like people to know about, Mandel or just about your church or about the radio station? Because I want you to be able to promote anything you want to promote on this podcast.
Hey, well, again, I'm honored to pastor a wonderful group of individuals. United Faith Church of Deliverance. We're out at 1808 Jersey Road, considered the west side of Salisbury, Maryland. We're honored to be the CEO of 50K Souls. Like I said earlier, a network of churches that go in the community serve. But one of the things I just like, if I could pass on to any person, we're getting ready to move into a very crucial time because we're moving into election. I just want us to learn to love one another.
Yeah.
I want us to not get caught up in foolishness and really love each other from a pure place. If I had one word to say, or say something that will be reminded, when we have opportunities, let's take our opportunities, our platforms, and let's use it for positive messages.
Mm-hmm.
If we all do that, we can help make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
If we're intentional, what did Pastor Copeland or what Mandel's whole, let's love one another from a pure place. Mr. Butler, I'm not sure if that's where you wanted me to go, but that's where I needed to go there, because we're getting ready to face some interesting moments,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to be important. All of us who have platforms, let's stop the negativity and let's focus on loving each other from a pure place. Let's have an ear. Give people chances. You deserve a chance. I deserve a chance. So let's hear individuals out. But at the end of the day, let's make sure we can come together. Our strength is going to be in our unity across the board.
You're right. And, it's so sad that, you can go on social media and people are losing friendships over.
They're losing friendships, man.
Over politics,
They've been friends for years.
Right. I mean, people, that for 30, 40 years, and there's this vitriol out there, and I think we just need to stop.
Yes, sir.
Because this hatred or whatever they're putting out there, it's not helping anybody.
It's not helping anybody.
We just need to, and you're not going to change anybody's mind. That's the thing, is if you're on one side, whatever side you're on, doesn't matter. Whatever you put up on Facebook or social or X, whatever it is, you're not going to change somebody's mind who's already made up. All you're doing is just putting out just some junk.
Yeah.
Instead, like you said, put something positive out there.
Put something positive.
Inspire somebody.
Inspire somebody. And guess what? I'll get in trouble with this one, but I'm used to getting in trouble now, Mr. Butler. Hey, mom and dad, you guys had your season in time. It's about our children.
Yeah.
It's really about your content, making sure that your children, your son, your grandchildren don't lose the message. The real message is we got to learn to love each other, one another. We've got to learn to be kind. We got to go back to being kind, Mr. Butler.
Yeah.
When we grew up, we yes, sir, yes, ma'am, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents told you, put a handle on that. You knew what they meant. Mr. Johnson, how you doing, sir?
That's exactly right.
You automatically knew it now.
Mm-hmm.
But it also helped us to develop our community.
Mm-hmm.
It helped us develop the village that we talk about.
Right.
I know a lot of us are frustrated with our parents, but guys, we didn't turn out that bad.
No, you're exactly right. And I think we miss a lot of that, especially like you mentioned, the community aspect of it, because, we grew up at a time where everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And, if somebody's parents saw you doing something wrong,
yes, sir.
Your parents are going to know about it.
Sir.
And I think we need to do more, not so much community policing, but we just need to, we need to get to know our neighbors.
Our neighbors.
And start to love on each other, man.
Start loving. And you may not look like me, I may not look like you, but we got to learn to love each other.
Yeah.
And exactly be okay with it. Be okay with it. Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to say, man? This is your pulpit for the.
Okay. Hey, thanks, man. I'll take full advantage. Mr. Butler, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your consistency. I want to thank you for being willing to share your platform, for someone to hear a story like mine, that my journey has been a different journey. I didn't know what I'm dealing with today. I had no idea that this would be my journey, but I have accepted it. And again, I want to thank you, because you have not just today, but you have consistently opened your platform to allow me to be able to share various stories. So again, I want to thank you so much, and your family, man, for your consistency. that you will allow. And I'm sure there's going to be even greater individuals that are going to come on that will have an opportunity to share their story, their journey. And
Yeah,
so
you all are great. You
yeah,
all
so,
are great.
yeah, kudos.
But let me ask. I forgot one question.
Got you.
So, when you were 9 years old,
Okay.
did you think you would be a pastor?
No idea. It wasn't even on the radar, bro. It's literally so far off the radar, man. Because I was a different child, man. I stayed in a lot of trouble when I was growing up. I was the typical 9-year-old with a lot of energy.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's what I want. And the reason I ask that is because we don't know where life's going to take us.
There you go.
You know?
There you go.
So, and I tell young people all the time, I said, look, yes, have a goal of what you want to do, but
That's
also
right.
know you might have to be flexible, because at age 18, I had no idea that I'd be working as director of communications for a school system. You know, my dream was to be in radio and television, which I actually did, but I never knew I'd do this. So you never know where it's going to take you.
You never know what's going to take you. So at 9, no, I had a feeling that music, church, there would be some type of connection. But actually being the pastor with that level of responsibility, I didn't see that. And so each Sunday morning, man, when I pull up and I see cars and I'm shaking hands and I'm speaking, I'm going like, man, nobody could have told me. I would definitely wouldn't have believed what they were sharing. But here we are, man, and I'm grateful and I'm definitely humbled through the experience each week, man.
All right. Well, listen, sir, thank you very much for your time. And I want to say we appreciate you in our community, especially in the Salisbury area, for all that you do, all for WDIH and being the eyes and ears and the voice of the community. We really appreciate you. All right.
Thank you so much.